Guys, don't buy Theif, or else the company will be thieves too.
Or they'll steal from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy our DLC.
Oh wow, nice drawing, Shaker. You did that pretty quickly too.
Yeah,
Well, he does do art.
Yeah.
it's okay.
Big Blue Bossu.
That's not Big Boss, that's Old Snake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try drawing Snake myself.
It's not old snake, it's liquid.
I want to see how well I can draw Snake. It won't be good, but I'll just see.
I'm expecting
Not
stick
old
man.
snake.
The way
but
you're
I'll be-
holding the pencil already.
Yeah, apparently Phil tells me that too.
It's a pen, you know nothing.
I mean, I see people when they draw art, they hold it like lightly, but I like hold it way too hard.
Yeah,
It's
remember-
not just that, but...
Yeah, I don't know. It just that's how I-
when Marc writes, whenever I was in class with him, I'd always tell him how he would just destroy the paper because it looks like he's about to just like rip through.
I never do though.
He's about
I
to
mastered
spear.
it.
You did once, and you broke the pencil.
No, I really didn't. You're making that up.
And then you set it on fire. You were so mad, so much rage.
Here, man, if you want a reference for Metal Gear Solid 1 Snake, I'll draw him.
I made a snake. Look, I drew snake with my left hand. I'm not left-handed. That was very hard.
Okay, this nose doesn't even look right. What am I doing here?
What the heck?
I'll keep going because
He looks like a Wind Waker character.
I'll take a picture and post them both on the podcast.
Don't. No, come on, man. Don't humiliate me.
And no, I won't tell anyone who's who.
I don't care what kind of bag you have.
My mustache isn't even good. What am I doing here?
Unless it's Gucci.
Let's just keep going. I just do like a nice little.
And none of that fake
No, this looks better.
knock-off bullshit.
You have a helmet or something?
Bullshit.
No, I'm trying to do what you did. I don't know, but now I suddenly switched to doing Old Snake just because he's right there. So.
I like the mouth.
That's a mustache.
Okay, now it's just even like, ugh, what is this?
You
Like,
sure?
I'm ashamed now. Jeez.
I feel like it's an open mouth.
No, he
I'm
drew...
ashamed.
Shame for display. Commit Sudoku.
Oh, wow, you drew Snake while he was wearing camouflage. Good job.
Welcome everybody
No.
to the Unrelated podcast. This is our third episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm your host, Phil. This is my co-host, Shaker, and Cory.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello.
And our
And I'm
special
Marc.
guest.
Marc Saab. How's it going?
Okay, so our first topic for today, we'll talk about Theif, the new... I guess it's a sequel, even though it's
It's
just...
more of a reboot.
It's a
yeah.
reboot.
It's a,
yeah.
a reboot? Okay, because it has the exact
I
same
love
name
that
as the
show.
original.
They called it originally Theif with a 4
Yeah,
replacing
to be
the
cute.
E.
Wait,
but
what?
yeah.
Yeah, the four.
So-
Actually, no, I think it's a sequel though. It's not exactly a
It'd be-
reboot.
it'd
Well, if
more-
they were going to put a 4 in the title,
It'd be
I
more like
yeah.
3F.
But
think, yeah.
They don't know their leet speak.
The first time I saw it, I kind of, the way that it looked, it reminded me, because I didn't play much of the original Thief games, but from the way that they played, I was imagining them playing as like a more stealthy Hitman game, where like you were trying to, but like your focus was not on killing, it was more about like collecting. And I really like the Hitman game, so I thought it'd be good, but from what I read, I guess we aren't getting that much of actual stealth, because in one of the articles that we were reading, I think it was even, they even had a video for it. I don't know if it was an E3 video, but they showed you in Control going through a window, sneaking into a building, and then like just picking things up. But essentially, they're like, the way that they described it is that there'd be open windows, that the AI wouldn't really be too focused on you, that like the actual sneakiness of the game would be like minimized, that like the actual skill that you'd have to implement into actually being stealthy would be very little. Go ahead.
So, yeah, basically the basic gist of it is that it feels like the world is rather dead, honestly. Everything's just there, out in the open for you to take. Doesn't seem like the people are actually going to pay attention to you. There's nobody that's going to burst in, suddenly say, "Oi, Taffy, you're stealing from my house." It's basically just everything's there right for the picking. And also, another one of the points that we noticed from the videos and the talk about the game was that the AI seems rather unresponsive. Like, guards wouldn't really be all that... They wouldn't really search all that much, and other NPCs would just, kind of not even notice you, like, unless, I don't know, you attack them or something.
And I think Mark, you were you the one who made that connection that you think it's kind of like Dishonored?
Nope.
No, that was
me.
Cory
That was
L.
Cory. Okay,
It
well,
was entirely me.
I thought that like if it was more like that, that'd be interesting because from what we heard, that like the actual guards themselves don't seem very responsive. But in Dishonored, they actually have a very dynamic system where the more you act against the stealth elements of the game, the more like gun ho you become, the more that the game will actually feed you that desire by giving you more and more guards that you have to deal with and make the levels like with more populated. So if you are stealthy, people don't know that there's someone killing everybody, so there's less guards, and it's pretty consistent. But the guards increase as like you make yourself known. So if the game acted like that, that'd be great. But from what I hear, it seems like you're just like
It's a one action game, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of sequels now, they're becoming like, this game industry is kind of more like homogenized, like anything has something unique with it, like Thief if it's stealth, like they're trying to like cut that stealth down and make it more just like an action game. And like an example like Dead Space 3 with like, it used to be like action horror. And now like they're cutting down the horror element just to make it like an FPS, so.
I don't know. I wonder if I wonder what Thief is trying to go for, what their audience is.
Well, it's certainly not the fans of the old game, because they actually have spoken out saying that they feel a lot of fans are complaining about like the changes, especially like Garrett's new design. And well, I admit that that's a rather nitpicky thing for fans to worry about.
Just like the way he looks?
Yeah, the design really, but the personality also seems rather different.
Like what?
Like originally Garrett was more of a... He was more solemn, more stoic, but also had like a very kind of dark sense of humor. This new one seems like he just runs his mouth off a lot, and he's rather cocky, honestly.
Like a Deadpool?
The thief with a mouth.
Would you get it?
This one kind of reminds me of Mass Effect. What was her name? It was like Kagome or something. She said she was the best thief in the world, but not the most well known.
Ah.
Because she kept her mouth shut.
Yeah.
No, it's Kasumi Gota. That's it.
Well, I probably wouldn't get it, honestly.
Maybe for $5 in the bargain bin.
Well, it is a really worrying trend to see a lot of franchises now just getting rebooted, just for a more modern audience, I assume.
Like DMC.
Yeah, there's DMC Devil May Cry, there's a new Tomb Raider, now there's Thief.
Has there been a game like that that's taken a reboot and just used the original title and actually done it better than the original?
Prince of Persia.
Are you
Arguably.
serious?
Arguably, yeah.
Which Prince of Persia?
Sands of Time.
Okay, yeah, Sands
From
of
the,
Time.
Okay, yeah.
from the
It's
SNES.
not the 2008
Yeah.
Prince of Persia.
Maybe there might be some other ones too, let me think.
Let's see.
I think that's... Yeah.
That's
No,
it. There's
there's
nothing more.
No more reboots. I'd be happy if it was that little.
Ooh.
Well, there was going to be Command & Conquer, but no,
And
that got cancelled.
how do you feel about that?
No, we should hold on a little bit about EA. You know?
Yeah.
Might have a little something to say about that
So
pretty soon.
actually, another example, I don't know if this counts, Rayman Legends, it brought back, Rayman Origins and Legends, it brought back the 2D Rayman gameplay,
Right.
and so a lot of people agree it's better than the first one, so.
Okay.
I guess new Super Mario Bros. Might count. I don't know.
Is it really better than the originals?
Yeah, I'm not really
Some
sure.
of them are. I
Well,
think.
3 and World are probably better than any of the new Super Mario Bros. So
I don't know. Wii U was actually pretty good.
maybe.
I don't know. I haven't got a chance to play it yet. Hear all these great things, but not one chance.
Next on the list, we've got Nevermind, which is
Oh, the
My-
podcast is over?
Yeah, sorry folks, bye.
oh,
Never
you
mind.
guys are messing with me. God damn it.
Never mind, fella.
So yeah, I was just telling them how I went on an IRC and I was talking to somebody about the game Nevermind, and I was saying, yeah, it's this really cool horror game that has all these neat aspects to it and how it dynamically changes the game while you play it. And he's like, oh, that sounds really cool. What's it called? And I said, Nevermind. And he just said, oh, okay, I'm going to go then.
Yeah,
It's actually called Nevermind. And I'm not sure exactly why it has that name, but the game itself is a horror game that I've been looking into for a couple of years now, maybe since 2010. And the game itself is... It seems to be mostly kind of in the style of Amnesia, where you walk around and you observe these things happening to you. It's not much of like a fighting horror game. There's not really any battles that go on. You're trying to progress through the story, and with any puzzles that are like put in front of you, you try to just solve them. So I guess it's like a puzzle horror game, kind of like Amnesia, where you're just trying to continuously progress through the game. And I guess the neat thing about the game is that you've got specific hardware that you can buy, like a heart rate monitor that you attach. And the interesting thing about that is that as your body changes, like your heart rate going up, the game is actually supposed to get more and more intense, and the horror aspect of it is supposed to get more and more out of whack. So I thought, in terms of horror games, usually they never seem to actually scare me, but I thought that maybe this game, if it actually like finds a part in the game that I actually get a reaction out of, if it can find out that I got that reaction, maybe the game will actually manage to consistently increase its thrill and make me actually scared of the game. Because I can't think of a horror game that I've actually been scared of for more than just like a few moments. I don't know if you guys can think of anything that's consistently kept you on edge throughout the whole game. Because I think even a game like Amnesia, it does it pretty well, because it gives you that sense of helplessness, but then you progress through the game, and usually around the end, you're kind of just going through it, and then whenever something happens, it's kind of just a hindrance. You're like, okay, let's just get this over with, because you're expecting it at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, like, whenever something happens, the thing that scares you is just going to keep getting scarier and scarier. So I think that might be a cool way to take advantage of, like, actually making it, like, really scary.
It does seem like an interesting concept. I'm really wondering, though, how much of an effect it has on the gameplay. Like, whether or not it just scares you a bit more, or if it actually provides more challenge in the gameplay.
From what I hear, it'll change it'll essentially change the things that you see. So the level that you're going through will, like, it'll be dynamically altered based on the response that it's getting. So if you get startled, the game is going to kind of warp itself, and maybe certain things in the level are going to move around, and things are going to get a bit more less bright, and like maybe you're going to get like new objects that appear that are like really weird, and you're going to have to try to get your way through that. Well,
it's a very interesting concept, to say the least. I'm wondering, though, how effective this will be without the peripheral, and how much information the game could get off of you just by, reading your controls alone.
From what I gather, the game is supposed to work fine without the peripherals, but from what I saw, because I saw a demo of someone who had early access to actually play the game, it was essentially they played it and they got to go through, I essentially watched the first half an hour, maybe 40 minutes of it, and they kept going, and they kept walking through, and then like they got to these puzzles, and whenever at certain points they would just be kind of looking around a room a lot, and then at that point, like really dramatically, something like drastically, something would just change, and then there would be blood on the ceiling, and then like a picture that she was looking at like would just change right in front of her face. And so I'm wondering if without the peripherals, it's just timed events based on like how long you are in an area, or how many like clicks you do, or something like that. If anything, it might just try to be like a normal horror game and still like function as a game, but the dynamic elements might not work unless you actually have those extra stuff. But I don't know, I guess I'm just really looking forward to a game that's actually like a satisfying horror game.
Is the Kickstarter, how's it going along? Is it close to the goal?
We can check right now what it's at.
I'm pretty sure it's funded, though.
You think it's funded already?
I would assume it would be funded.
Yeah.
I thought you guys said it was on Kickstarter.
Well, yeah.
It is.
It can be on Kickstarter and still be funded.
Oh, okay. fair enough.
Quite a lot of projects actually. They would just do. They already have the funds to make the base game and would just go on Kickstarter to make like extra things.
Yeah.
Like I think FTL did that.
I don't think I'd ever play the game. Bioshock scared me when I was younger.
Wow.
Horror games have never really been a big thing for me.
Mm.
Well, same thing for me, mostly because I've never been scared by them. I don't know. It
I
just
kind
seems
of
like.
agree. Yeah. I mean,
I guess there's enough.
They're not funded.
attached.
They still have 19 days to go. They're at about 40.5 thousand. They want 250K.
all right. So if you're listening, people, you're interested, go to Kickstarter, give what you can.
$200,000, all right?
Yeah. Bill Gates, you're
Like,
watching.
Make sure you tell them we sent you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we can move on to our general topic on water levels.
Oh.
You good with that?
Yep.
All right. So essentially, I got this idea from the Giant Bomb forums, and I'm just feeding it through that.
And now we're stealing topics from other people.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, giant bomb.
I mean, suggestions of what people like to talk about is usually a good idea. Because if it was all me, that doesn't work. But essentially, let's just try to go through some games that have memorable water levels. You can tell me if you think it was good or bad, or like what and why you hated it or why you liked it. So I know, Mark, you had something.
Donkey Kong Country's water levels, partially. Well, I mean, it had good design, obviously. Also, it introduced Unguard, the Swordsfish buddy. A lot of people like him. But mostly, I think the music, the ambient music, was great in those levels. So, yeah.
And the octopus sucked.
Yeah. And in the recent, well, the new game, Tropical Freeze, they did a remix of the ambient, aquatic ambience. And it sounds good, so.
Yeah, water levels generally have really good music, and I think that's one of the key factors that make a really good water level. It has really ambient,
Yeah,
slow
nice atmosphere.
music.
What if it's really fast?
Silver bell.
Like it's trying to just like get you really hyped and like the shark coming after you.
There are quite a few good water levels. I think of Mario 64 had a couple really good ones, namely Dire Docks.
Yeah.
I thought the atmosphere was great. All the different sunken ships and all the different creatures, like the giant eel that would come up and give you a heart attack.
Exactly. Freak you out, man.
What about the mechanics of that level? Like, how is it? Does it differ from the regular game? Like, how do you go through that one?
Well, the swimming controls are rather simple. You just press A to, move forward. That's usually how most games would work. Just press moving buttons, because you can't really jump underwater. So
yeah, that I had a discussion with somebody who told me that the water levels in Mario are essentially, when you play those, they're essentially a totally different game because they get rid of the platforming element because there's no real jumping. You're just swimming consistently and.
It basically turns into Flappy Bird.
Yeah, essentially.
Actually, Mario World had some good water levels. Thinking back on it, yeah,
it did have a lot of good ones. Yeah.
When I was trying to think of like good water levels, I remembered in Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, you have actually I think in two of them, not in all of them, but in there's two of them. I think in the third one as well, you have water levels that you can change based on. Temperature. So like on an ice planet, if you ever encountered like a frozen lake, you could use a special tool that you had that could heat things up or freeze them, and if you heated it up, you could swim through the water level, so they would provide like new passageways throughout the level, and then they provide different tasks too, because sometimes you'd be filled with, when you go through there, you might actually find something good at the end, but you might also encounter like spike mines that are all throughout there, and then at the same time, to actually get across an area, if instead of swimming through it, because there's like a fish that'll. When I actually tried this, I tried swimming through it, and the fish killed me in one bite, and then I tried doing it again, and I thought maybe I'd avoid him, and no, the game's programmed to kill you immediately. So you have to freeze that so that the fish can't move, and then walk on top of them, and then that's how you get throughout the level. So I thought that. Changing the way that the platforming works and how giving you alternate routes throughout a game is usually a pretty fun way to do it.
Yeah.
Although there are quite a few bad water levels too.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles on the NES for one.
Mm.
Trying to shut off the switches.
Oh.
Not fun.
Did you actually play that one?
I did actually play it a bit, yeah.
What? How does that work? Because I've never seen it.
Well, it just basically what you got to do is you got to get. It's a timed level. You have to shut off all the switches. But what's hard about it is like there's these reefs that are like electrocuted, basically. So you got to avoid them while going as fast as you can, while turning off all the switches. So I mean, stressful time, yeah.
Mm.
Does it control okay, or is it and is it hard?
So.
Okay, so it controls bad, and that's why it's really difficult because like they overload how much you have to do with those controls.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
One water level that's really memorable for me, Metal Gear Solid 2 has a very, very memorable sequence where I think it's the only sequence in the game where you actually do swim, which is another reason why it's rather not that fun. But basically, you're underwater and you have to swim through all this wreckage. You have a little oxygen meter. Obviously, you can't breathe infinitely. But not only that, you also have to dodge mines. So then there's that's when you have to go find one of the people you need to rescue. And at that point,
so that's not the height of the game.
That's not. Now, after you get to the person, you have to take them back with you, and they have a smaller oxygen bar than you. So, not only are you doing an escort mission, but you're also doing an underwater section, and it's timed because of how low their oxygen meter is. So it's a timed underwater escort mission.
The worst of all worlds.
They were feeling pretty evil when they came up with it.
And then it's even funnier because then you find out all you've been doing is, well, it's a rather big story spoiler, but basically all your work was for nothing. So
okay, keep it at that.
yeah.
Dang. And I've never played it, but this has to be brought up every time water levels are mentioned. Be the water temple from Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Lots of people seem to they're either on one side of the fence where it wasn't that bad, and then you have people who thought it was
worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And also,
does anybody like it? Like
some people.
I
just want to bring up. There's also kind of an urban legend around it that basically, like, you have to use keys to explore everywhere, and there was a legend that it's possible to use the keys wrongly, so you can get stuck, and the only way to get unstuck is to restart the whole game and try it again. That wasn't true, but people thought that.
Like a glitch that just breaks it.
Well, not a glitch. It's just what happens is like you get stuck. Basically, use the keys the wrong way, so you get.
And like the game just does not let you backtrack.
Yeah, no, because you used up the keys you need, and you can't get more keys because So, but it's not true.
Well, I wouldn't really say I hate it. It is one of the more tedious dungeons, but it wasn't. I never would say I actually hated it.
I had to use a guide though. I'll confess.
Did you have the official Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time guide? Or did you use online?
Online.
My sister had.
No.
My sister had the official magazine.
What was this recently that you finally did it?
Well, it took me whole.
You made a Reddit post that's like, I need help.
No, I mean, I played Ocarina when I was a kid, but I only beat it like I think like 6 years ago maybe. So.
Well, they redid it on the 3DS.
Yeah.
But Ryan has that. He says it's much better than it was when it was on the N64, but I think it was also because he's a bit older.
Yeah.
For kids, you were going to be stuck there for a long time.
Do they remaster the graphics? Like, did they up that? Okay.
Yeah. And they changed some of the things in the game that were sort of so. But I was a kid. I had no idea what I was doing at the time anyway. So
it gets a bad rap, honestly. I just think it's not all that bad. Even as a kid, I never really found it that difficult. Just tedious, because there are a lot of different doors that require keys, a lot of different places you have to use the ocarina to unlock things, and
one thing that was annoying about having to switch the heavy boots on and off, and this has been brought up, but it doesn't really make any sense because Link, he carries the heavy boots with him, so wouldn't it just weigh him down even if he's not wearing them?
It's magic,
It's magic, man.
I guess so.
The infinite pocket,
Exactly.
where everything is stored.
It's weightless there.
It's
man.
where cartoon characters grab out hammers when they need them or whatever.
Yeah.
If I now that I think of it, I was right that in the third Ratchet and Clank game, you actually there's a level where you get to play in the sewers, and there's certain gates that you have to get through, and whenever you walk up to them, like you can walk through, and there's streams that are going through each one, and there's certain things that you'll find through these different passageways, and it's kind of like a labyrinth that you're trying to like find your way through, and it introduces a new type of enemy that are kind of like made of that are kind of slugs essentially, and they're made of the waste that exists within the sewers, and so it's neat because it introduces like a whole new type of enemy based on the terrain you're in, and it kind of incorporates one into the other. So if you're walking through the terrain, because they're made up of the exact same thing, you might, I think, sometimes you'd be walking through and everything would look normal, like it was just a straight passageway, I can go to the next door, and then something would just arise out of the bottom, and you'd have to fight like another monster. So I thought that was fun because it would keep you like on edge the whole time. So that was fun.
That's pretty neat, going to the darker side of those levels.
Okay, we can go on to.
Shaker's gonna need about an hour anyways
Yeah,
to talk about it.
He's mad as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore.
All right, next up we'll talk about Dungeon Keeper, and essentially we'll go a little general with that and talk about EA. So I actually downloaded Dungeon Keeper for my iPhone, and I wanted to see why it was so bad because I heard about it and I wanted to see if it was really as terrible as people said it was. And essentially, it took me a while to get through the tutorial because I had to leave my phone for a bit, and then when I went back in, because I didn't sign in to my Apple Game Center account, it logged me out, and I had to restart the tutorial all over again, and it takes a while to load up to the internet. So it's a tedious game to get into, but anyways, once you're playing it, like you have your dungeon, and then you have all these different things that you can build, and you have these minions that you can summon, and you can place them around and ask them to dig things up, and when it starts you off, it says, okay, so you can feel free to use your gems as much as you want, but your gems are essentially the things that you use to speed up the process of anything. So you say build this, and then you can use gems to like make it a lot quicker, because you mine minerals, and then you get gems to use those minerals to build something, and use your gems to create it instantly, and like you have a certain amount of gems you need to like build something else. And I was playing it, and then I made one thing, and it's like you have to wait 20 seconds. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And then it's like, use your gems, it'll make it quicker, don't worry, I'll give you more later on. I was like, okay. So I used my gems because I
was told to.
I was told to. And then later on, the tutorial guide essentially told me, okay, so now you can use your gems to build, let's say, cannons. So I built one cannon, used my gem, and then I built another cannon. I was like, I want to see how fun this is without using my gems. So I didn't use my gems, and I had to wait 5 minutes and just stare at the screen.
Oh boy.
And then like after the tutorial's done, eventually you run out of gems, and then he doesn't give you any more, and you have to get more gems, but that takes a while, and you kind of just have to wait and wait.
Or you can pay.
Yeah, see, that's kind of...
And so there's the free-to-play model. Because the game is free, you can pay to get more gems, and then that'll let you bypass the waiting period for a bunch of those, bunch of the things that you're constructing. But the actual game itself just kind of, like, if you don't have money to spend, and you realize that you don't want to spend more than a regular iOS game, which is like, I don't know, $2, $1, the game is like instantly going to become way too expensive for you to actually progress, because there's nothing to do in the game.
You see, that's the thing. That I just feel is a very bad model that's arising in the phone app, free-to-play phone apps, or just free-to-play apps in general, where they would give you resources in the game. Two different types of resources. One is the money in the game, like the resources that you get in Dungeon Keeper, the minerals.
You get rocks essentially.
there was minerals. And then there's gems, which are a completely different mineral or a different resource that you have. One of the resources that they give you plenty of it, that you get lots of different minerals that you can use to build things. But obviously they don't matter. The real ones that matter are the gems, because that's what really matters in the game. Reminds me of another one. I think it was Simpsons Tapped Out or something. Yeah, Simpsons Tapped Out.
Oh, I didn't hear
Basically,
that.
you'd have like money to build different buildings, but to do anything you would need donuts, and you'd have to pay to actually get the donuts. And it's a very similar model.
You look at your bank account, $0. You're actually in debt. I'm all tapped out.
Crap, I gotta go to Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
See how many puns we can just throw out there right now.
Yeah, seriously.
The model itself essentially just kind of goes against the whole idea of free to play, because it makes the game unplayable unless you have money, because you just have to just wait and do nothing.
And then when you realize that the entire point of the game is to wait or give the people money, because beyond the waiting, there is little to this new dungeon keeper. Like, there's barely any of the gameplay that resembles the original Dungeon Keepers. It's rather watered down and very shallow, which is obviously...
It's kind of
I really got through about 2 battles, and then I just got so bored of waiting for the next battle because it took so long to actually get anything.
That's a really underhanded technique, just making them wait. I mean, I never even heard of something like that. They can
The
do
idea,
it quick. They make
the
you
idea is
wait.
to make it as
Jeez,
casual as possible. So a game that you can play for about a few seconds and then put away for a long time until it's done, and then you can keep playing.
Yeah, it's basically...
Enter college, and then by the time the first level is done, you have your master degree.
It's basically just a very, very, very watered down version. And usually, iOS games don't need to be that watered down. There's quite a few games that aren't that shallow, that have actually really good gameplay, honestly. And it's just it's another typical EA move, honestly. They found something that was very profitable for some people.
I was hoping they'd learn from SimCity, because they actually apologized for that, maybe.
And didn't they, Shaker? Didn't you find a post where there was actually an apology that Dungeon Keeper, that what they released was just a failure, and they were sad about it?
No,
I did not. I would be surprised.
Some say their hearts shrink.
No, all
No,
they do is
actually-
make excuses
They
about
did
what they've
make an
done.
excuse. They made an excuse saying that people like the game, honestly. It has a 5-star rate, like a 4.5-star rating or something on iOS.
Yeah,
and Google Play.
and that's
4.5 out of
People
10,
love
maybe.
people just love the game, obviously.
yeah. But
And honestly, that is actually
Because
there's
you
a bit of
can't vote
manipulation.
lower.
Yeah, there's a bit of manipulation with the scores, that if you try to actually rate the game, they give you 2 options: rated 5 stars or rated 1 to 4 stars.
Oh, jeez.
If you rated 5 stars, you just rated 5 and you correct your review on Google Play or iOS, the App Store, and then that's it. But if you put 1 to 4, you never actually get to vote on whether or not you don't like the game, or just you don't get to affect the score. What they do is that they send you like a support ticket or a feedback ticket. You basically just they ask you, give us feedback so we can make a better game. But you never actually vote on the game.
And as far as I know, the people who got farther in the game when they went to vote, it was before the timers got a lot longer. So they give you this, hey, rate our game, and people are like, oh, this is fine, I like it, and then they rate it, and it's like, okay, now wait hours.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing there were quite a few times where timers would go upwards of 24 hours, and honestly, that's disgusting. Just to throw that,
EA, please sponsor us.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
I can understand, fine, it's just one of those little games that you just play a little bit, then you put away. But the amount of time you have to wait to actually play the game is just insane.
No,
Like,
you see,
Waits
they
to
reward the patient. Like that's how it goes.
Yeah,
You
basically.
wait, and then they reward you. You get to play the game for 5 minutes.
and then
Or I could just
Barely.
play something else.
Or you could just get Dungeon Keeper for free on GOG.
You can play another
It's
one of the great EA titles while you wait for Dungeon Keeper.
Yeah, like Dragon Age 2.
Or you could just play just play Dungeon Keeper for free on GOG because it is now.
Yeah.
I know it's
GOG, a quality website.
It is right now, actually,
Sweet.
since Valentine's Day.
Hopefully it won't be taken down.
Wow, that's interesting. They wait till Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It's such a romantic game. I guess maybe I forget the original one, but like in the
If I had a dungeon, you'd be my keeper.
Is this some sort of sex dungeon or something?
Whoa! I didn't say it. I implied it. Your words, not mine.
and because in the Dungeon Keeper game you actually get the option to you essentially the center of your dungeon that you're trying to protect is this heart. So maybe they're trying to like make some
Heart of the dungeon.
yeah,
Nice.
and they're trying to make some pun off of that.
Well, I for one am not impressed with EA's recent action of theirs. And to think they actually stated later last year that they didn't want to get the Golden Poo because they believed that they were a good company. And I don't know, recent things like SimCity, the new recently canceled Command and Conquer free-to-play game, and now Dungeon Keeper game.
Oh, it's probably a good thing they canceled that Command and Conquer free-to-play game.
Yeah.
That's one thing they did right. Jeez.
Well, instead
EA,
of fixing the game.
If you're
just
watching,
cancel it.
take our advice. Just don't do free-to-play anymore.
No, that's where the money
best.
is, though.
Don't do it,
That's where
guys.
companies want the money, and where do you get the
Yeah.
money? Free-to-play models.
That's the biggest demand.
Aren't they like losing money despite all the stuff they're doing?
They'll never lose money as long as they have Madden.
Okay, that's true.
Although I
Madden.
hear that some of those licenses might be expiring.
I have
the
FIFA too.
Like the exclusivity licenses, I think, are going to maybe expire soon or
Well,
something. like that.
everyone jumped on the Battlefield bandwagon, even though, they didn't wait till release, and it just turned out to be a big mess of
Glitch.
glitches and all bugs and all sorts of other things. Like, it was a barely completed game,
Yeah.
but everyone
That's
immediately
really-
jumped on it.
That's kind of, when you look at some of those sports games like Madden and FIFA, for the most part, they're not really very glitchy. They're actually like competently made, but like a lot of other things, they don't seem to care as much about.
I don't know. I find that their sports games
Yeah.
don't really
I know.
change between iterations. They're just roster
Yeah, that's true.
updates.
But I mean, like in terms of like glitches and stuff. But I will say, I
At
own.
least they work.
I do own a copy of NHL 11, and it's like. I know you guys don't really relate to this, but there's some weird glitches in there. Like, you'll be playing for, like, one thing, and, like, suddenly, like, the salary cap's not counted correctly, and sometimes, like, it'll just, like, calculate the average age of your team wrong. It'll just, like, that's what happened to me. It just kept it always at 24 years, no matter what.
They're all 105.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's
geez.
at least 25, yet the average is 24.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes there's some really oddball things that happen in that game. Like, it's a good game, but, like, just, like, decisions, stuff you wouldn't expect. You expect it from a friggin' NES game, those kind of glitches that happen. But
Yeah.
And honestly, though, the recent Battlefield thing, I've heard that a lot of the glitches have yet to be fixed. It's still really buggy. It seems like just
They said they were going to do
How long
something
has it
about
been
it.
out,
They haven't
though?
done much.
like a couple months now,
Yeah.
since November,
Jesus.
I think. November, yeah.
And
Well, because, like, why do they care? They
Yeah.
already got their money.
yeah, they
So-
definitely took advantage of the new consoles launches because they came up, for next gen, and they decided let's capitalize on this. And
Yeah.
there's not too many games right now for next gen consoles.
It's also
Yeah,
the
I mean-
usual EA deadline,
I think the best-selling games on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 right now are Call of Duty and Battlefield. So
That's pretty much guaranteed to happen.
Yeah, they'll be getting games.
not
soon,
that many
though.
good launch titles.
Dead Rising 3 seems okay.
It does seem okay. Not as good as the other ones, though.
I hear it seems all right, but from what I hear, it's still not as entertaining as the first one. Because I don't know, the second one.
Because they don't cover wars.
Yeah.
I listened to the soundtrack and that got me hooked, but I really don't know if I want to play another Dead Rising game because it seems like it's just like reiterating the same thing.
That's what most sequels tend to be now.
Well,
Yeah, you gotta get that right balance of not changing it too much, but not keeping it too much the same.
In the first one, was the first one the one that you were in a mall or not? Or were they both
They,
on the
they both were.
Yeah.
Both were?
Yeah, but the second one introduced like a better crafting system, which was like the really big thing for the game.
Well, the second one, oh yeah, people. That's the one where you have to take care of that girl throughout the whole game.
Yeah, Chuck Green's daughter,
Right.
because
You have to
she got bitten, so he has to keep going out and finding the medicine.
Yeah, that's annoying. Because I
Yeah.
think any time that she's about to die, the screen just starts blinking, and there's the really annoying sound. It's like, she's gonna die. Your kid's gonna die.
And
You're
then
a
the game's
bad dad.
Then the game's over. Like he runs back, and then she's turned, and it's like, oh no, and then game
Bad
over.
ending.
Well,
You can fail like everything else in the game, but your daughter dies, and it's like it's over.
It's too bad it can't be like Shaun of the...
It can.
let you know, that's a spoiler, so I won't even say, sorry.
What?
well,
Shaun of the Dead, I was going to say something, but to some people who might not have watched it, so forget it.
There's a spoiler.
No, I'm not saying it. Forget it.
Blood and ice cream.
well, with EA's recent actions, I feel that they're honestly not even worrying about the golden poo. They just don't care about it. They just
How much did it really affect them last time?
they got really upset over it. Honestly,
Yeah. It's weird that they know
Second
about
time-
it. They
second time.
want to change, but they won't do it, man.
I don't know. I don't really think they want to change.
I think they got upset that someone called them out on how bad they're doing.
Well,
but
yeah.
I think the fact that they're still making a lot of money means we're still gonna do this.
I think actually with the last golden poo, they brushed off a lot of the criticism by just saying there were people that hated the Mass Effect 3 ending, or people who just didn't like Dragon Age or Mass Effect because they were homophobes or something like that. And I,
Gotta
Yeah.
throw up the shields, you know.
yeah,
What was
Go
the
on, if you're supposed
last
to.
good EA game?
that's
Uh,
rather subjective.
FIFA 14. I don't know.
Dragon Age, the original one, was pretty good.
Yeah.
It
Origins,
was,
yeah.
Origins.
I do have some hope for 3 because they actually delayed it to let them work
Wow.
on it more, so...
You know, if they get out of the damn city, then it
Yeah.
would be better.
Supposedly it's a bit more open world this time.
God, Kirkwall sucked.
I didn't play 2, I just played 1.
I
As
played,
long as the writing's better.
I played both and beat them many times.
As long-
You never leave the city. Once you're in, you're there forever. You're never leaving. And I like Mass
You can
Effect
check
2.
out any time you like, but
Like,
you can
you know,
never leave.
Mass Effect will be interesting because they're supposed to use that same universe, but totally go in a new
Okay.
direction now, where they're not following
Or
up on.
they'll bring back Shepard again. Because there is, you know, there might be like secret endings or something, you know.
Yeah.
They'll find some way to be like, oh well, he or she is now alive again. Guess who's back? And you got some old crewmates.
I think it would make sense after to just revamp it because the way that they ended Mass Effect 3, it doesn't really seem like they can make any more of that story because they can take it from any part of the timeline if they're going to take a new storyline. So any point in that universe that they want.
Well, they have this whole creation of races and different planets and societies and all these different things going on.
Or we could
it's
just
a-
rehash the same races and
It's
just
true.
you're starring.
You're in space. There's so much in space.
Yeah, it's a really cool world. So they could do a lot of neat stuff.
Maybe
with
they'll
it.
make a movie eventually.
Or make just some more humans that are
But
with
then
different colored skins.
How would they do the protagonist?
Well, they
Male
might-
or female?
That's true. Maybe they'll make both or something.
It's
Two movies.
the Shepherd
it's-
twins.
It's an androgynous character. You never know who it really is.
Yeah.
It's I want to like him, but
It'll
should
be-
I?
No,
It'll be a
I don't know.
first-person experience, and every time they talk, it'll be like
Yeah,
Charlie Brown.
First
Or it's
person
like-
experience, and
here's
every
how it
time they
works.
go to talk, there'll still be dialogue
No,
traced.
no. Here's how it works. I don't know if you've seen the episode of Futurama. They go to a movie theater and they get to pick what happens.
Oh,
Yeah, that's gonna happen there, basically.
should I file my taxes?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about the Reapers?
I'm pretty sure you pressed file taxes. No.
No, I didn't.
Honestly, though, I think they're pretty much guaranteed this year's
Golden
Golden Poo. 3 years in a row, honestly. That's probably a new record. Actually, I think the 2 years in a row is a new record.
Would you call that a winning streak or a losing streak?
Depends on who you're asking, honestly. If you're
Depend-
asking EA, maybe it's a winning streak.
Also depends on whether or not the award is actually just chocolate wrapped around with golden wrap.
Mm.
Yeah. Honestly, though,
Is it announced or did someone actually deliver it to them?
On their front doorstep in a bag on fire.
Like they get a parcel one day, it's like, oh, sign for this? Sure thing. They open it up. Yeah, damn it.
Yeah. I don't know. EA just seems to really, really hate the people that they want to make games for.
Why don't you care about?
I guess
it
they really like to. Their R&D is just okay. How can we screw people over in a new way so that they're not expecting it?
You pay to press the A button.
Would you like to pay for the rest of the controller?
Yes.
We've locked half of it.
Microtransactions, man, they're a blight on gaming.
EA wouldn't know. They like to put them in single-player games.
With the way that it's going, they're pretty big. Like, they could be good in some cases, but just for how people treat it, it's
crappy. Yeah.
no. You're getting game content. You buy game content instead of just like maybe a fun little thing you want. Maybe you just want like you have a few extra dollars and you just want an extra costume for something. That's fine.
Or say in the case of Dead Space 3, where they just put microtransactions to help you scavenge more items, so you can just get exclusive item parts or just scavenge ammo and stuff quickly, which honestly defeats the purpose of the whole survival horror part of the Dead Space games.
It became less and less survival, just more and more guns.
Yeah, they got obsessed with the crafting and the quick time events.
It's like survival horror. It's never about the horror anymore.
Yeah.
Like
About
Resident Evil 6. It's whatever game you want it to be, except survival horror. It's definitely action.
What will they do for Resident Evil 7? Same
Probably
thing?
have Claire Redfield looking for Chris again. But looking for Chris again,
Chloe's
like
wife.
always.
My wife, yeah.
Ada Wong's better.
They have Resident Evil 4 HD
We're
coming
running
out on
out.
Steam. I think it's actually already out.
It
I'm
is
not
out,
sure.
yeah.
It is out, yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Although
Resident Evil 7.
recent Dungeon Keeper just is another one of the many times EA has taken an old franchise and tried to breathe some life into it, or I say that loosely. You could also say they're just beating the dead horse.
Well, I mean, it's a good game, and I guess because they have a chance to do something with it, they want to make. I guess any time that they acquire any new titles, they'll put it off on a while until they find a new way to approach the game that's innovative.
Yes, like
big word.
We want the
like
Call of Duty audience.
SimCity, with their innovative way of making it an always online game, and saying that it was needed because it's massively multiplayer.
And the first time it launches, nobody can play it.
Oh yes, the horrific launch. And then in that same period, when somebody proved that you could play offline perfectly fine.
I wonder. Have they ever? Maybe I'm forgetting, or misremembering. Did they ever release a patch or anything that made it offline? Or
I think they
did,
recently did say,
They did.
released a
Okay.
patch that
We
made it
were,
offline.
They said we finally done something that was very difficult, which someone made a mod for immediately.
I think it had to do with going into like
Took our coders like months,
I think it was like
going
going
to stay after hours. His family might be starving, so you better appreciate this. I'm trying to make you pay for it. $10 and you can play offline.
Wait, did they?
No.
Okay.
I'm surprised they didn't.
Okay. Yeah. Then there was what else? Then there's all their games where they like to put multiplayer in, like Dead Space 2, Mass Effect 2.
Wait, did Mass Effect 2
no,
have multiplayer?
Mass Effect 2 didn't have multiplayer. Mass Effect 3 did.
Okay, Mass Effect 3. That's what I'm thinking of. Are you sure 2? I think 2 had.
No.
No.
I
Okay.
haven't played 3 yet. Is the multiplayer any good?
Yeah. It's
Well, it's a true testament to how far they got away from the RPG elements in the original game.
It's just kind of like a survival mode type thing. It's not really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You get a group of people in a room and they gotta like fight through all the monsters and all the aliens that come on through. So it's not. A lot of people found it fun, but it was just sort of. It was a thing that you did for a little bit and you just kind of threw it aside because you didn't really care anymore.
Then there was
Back on.
the latest Command and Conquer game that they were developing, developed as a free-to-play title with microtransactions in it. Microtransactions that you would use to pay for other factions.
Oh boy.
And it actually adopted a similar style to how MOBAs like League of Legends would had their online store, where you would buy these points and then spend the points on, buying the different things in the store, or you could just, grind for them by playing different games. Now, I don't really like that system. I didn't like that. Didn't like it that much for League of Legends, and I especially don't like it with an RTS game.
How do you think they could have done like a good free-to-play RTS?
I don't think you could have. There's not much you could do. I think the only really good way to make it a free-to-play game with microtransactions, if you just make microtransactions for things that are optional, like, cosmetics.
Okay.
But you can't really do much cosmetics with an RTS game.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it would be that practical. The different items that they had in store were, besides, buying factions.
So forcing every genre to be free to play is just not the best idea.
No, it wouldn't work.
Free to play instrumental games. Because you gotta buy the songs.
No, you buy the
Guitar Hero?
Yeah.
You get a free guitar? Is that they just keep giving them out?
You get a free guitar with one button to press.
Yeah.
You have to
pay
buy
for
the rest of the
buttons.
keys.
Yeah.
No, I said instrumental games. like Guitar Hero. Like I don't know, like you buy
But you need
the guitar. Yeah, you buy the guitar. And
But
they
it's
give you
not
one
free.
song.
You have to buy
I
the
can't-
guitar.
I guess I give you it then. I don't know.
Yeah, they give everyone a guitar.
You just send in mail to them, and then they'll,
Jeez, man.
in a few weeks, they'll send you back a package.
Free to play Tetris.
Can you,
only
can-
get the.
they send you back a contract that says, will you
you only
please
get the-
buy something at least
the-
The
once a
Z
week?
blocks.
Yeah, you only get the Z blocks in free to play Tetris. You got to pay for the straights and the blocks.
Oh, God.
You gotta pay for straights and for the square blocks. The only ones that you get normally are Z's and S. That's it. And
And the little T
no, yeah,
things. I
the
like
T's
those.
aren't that bad.
I like those ones, actually.
The L's are also kind of cool.
Guitar Hero and those kind of games, they've kind of been away for a while, haven't they?
Well, it was a big thing for a little bit. It was a little trend.
Yeah.
It got oversaturated though,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of bursted. That
Well,
bubble bursted.
What
and-
was it? It was like, oh, we have a new Guitar Hero. Well, what's on it? Songs?
And then
I feel like, those kind of games would work better if they just kept allowing you to download more songs instead of having to buy a whole new game.
Yeah, they
And
just.
then buying new peripherals, then you
Yeah.
have a bunch of plastic instruments that are useless.
Yeah.
Well,
Right
they
into
had
the
that
ground.
at first. You just buy more songs and you download it and it's fine. But then they're like, no, now we have Aerosmith and we have the Beatles and now we have
Yeah.
this. So you can only get certain songs if you bought that game.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think it would. I don't know. I think the what's it called? Rocksmith.
Mm.
I think that one is pretty interesting because you actually get to use a real guitar, and I don't know how their song system works, but I remember in an interview they did say that they were gonna just keep releasing more that they would implement into the game. So those seem fun because you wouldn't replace. You wouldn't have to replace your instrument because you would just buy new strings,
that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
and then you would actually. And a lot of people that I've heard who've played it have said that it's fun, just casually playing, but then you can actually gain a skill by playing the game. So it's a lot more satisfying in the long run than just being a master button tapper.
The buttons won't tap themselves unless you spend $15.
Yep.
Coming soon, EA Games' new guitar game. You gotta pay for every different note.
Would you like a G? Would you like to buy a vowel?
Would you like that G to be a sharp or flat? 50 cents extra.
Or you could buy the bundle pack for 75 cents.
Or you could buy the entire. Or you could buy all our DLC combined for $120.
What a deal.
Actually,
Until our new DLC, which is about 100 songs released tomorrow.
I think I remember actually all the DLC for Sims 3. Another franchise that EA has liked to milk to death.
Yeah.
I think it comes close to several $100
Oh, yeah, you
worth
showed
of
me that.
DLC.
It's
I
nuts.
don't know if it's... Is it several hundred?
The thing about
That's
DLC.
all right.
Thing
I
about
don't it's a couple hundred maybe.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
Hmm.
that's the thing about DLC. I mean, on paper, it's a really good idea. I mean, you get more of the game after you buy it, but the problem is a lot of companies, they take advantage of it, and they take out stuff that could have been in there.
I actually have Sims 3. And I have one of the DLC things for it because a friend bought it for me for just whatever reason. He's like, "Here, I'm just gonna buy you Sims 3 DLC." I'm like, okay.
That's another thing that EA likes to do, though. That they take a lot of, DLC and microtransactions. Who doesn't love that? Remember the time when there was, expansion packs for games where you actually get like almost an entire new game.
Never happened to those.
They took time.
Yeah.
Time is money, friend.
Almost as bad as on-disc DLC. Capcom was guilty of that, and pretty sure Mass Effect 3 was also guilty of that on-disc DLC.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about EA. You can always find another company that's done something just as that's done something bad like they have. There was Activision with the yearly releases of, say, Call of Duty. Now they've been churning out some, yearly. They tried to do that with Medal of Honor, didn't work out.
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Warfighter.
Series is gone.
Then there was
Call of Duty is a bit more fleshed out than some of those other yearly releases like Assassin's Creed. I think just because they give it's technically 2 years of development for any of those games because they keep swapping between one and the other company.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, but it doesn't help that the gameplay is mostly the same.
It's the same way.
As long as it works.
Ghost did a lot
I think that's all
worse
they
with
care
critics. I don't know about sales wise. Did it do
It
worse
did
than
do
usual?
sales wise, actually, yes.
Okay.
It's one of the first. It broke the trend of Call of Duty games outselling each other. I think it's an accomplishment.
We'll see what happens. I wonder what would happen. I mean, it was like the biggest series in gaming this gen. What's going to happen next gen? Is it
Well,
gonna
they've
die
got-
off?
They've gotten a new.
Was the big one.
Yeah. What's
Until
going to be the next
until
big
Riot
one?
Games showed up and knocked on the door.
Then they've gotten they've gotten the new. They've gotten the new developer, Sledgehammer Studios. I think that was what they're called. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Sledgehammer did Modern Warfare 3.
Did they?
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like that.
Well, Sledgehammer was like a few Infinity Ward people, and then Infinity Ward started back up after everyone quit.
Well, and then there was, like I said, on this DLC. EA is guilty of it, but they weren't the first one. Then there was, always online DRM. You had Diablo 3 that came out before SimCity, but they still went ahead and did that.
Yeah, Ubisoft did it too with DRM.
Yes, they did. Then there was
Blizzard didn't really acknowledge the real money auction house, or the auction house in general, for like at least a year.
And then eventually they just went, okay, fine, we'll get rid of it.
I think it's either next month or April. They're actually getting rid of it this year.
It's still not gone?
No.
It's been 2 years, hasn't it? Yeah.
Well, the new expansion is coming out this year, and they're getting. I think they're getting rid of the auction house the same time the expansion comes out.
Right.
Did they say actually anything about getting rid of Always Online?
Didn't they say that at some point?
They got rid of
well,
the
yeah,
auction
never mind.
house. They've done a lot of work.
Yeah, leave them alone, Shaker.
Come on.
Yeah.
I've been always
It's
on
not to
line
say
for
that
single player
EA is
games.
obviously not the first instigator of things. They weren't the first people to support Securon. They weren't the first people to support the what's it called, what's that $10 pass thing, online pass. They weren't the first to support all these
Online
terrible
passes, jeez.
all these terrible practices,
I
but
had
they
one.
have
Yeah.
From Borderlands.
but they've done all of them, and then they've always justified why they've done them. And even after they've been proven to be, received rather sourly by fans, they still went ahead and did that with such glee that it's really a wonder how they keep making so much money off of people. And how they get away with hiring so many different developers and killing just as many as they hire.
Bleed them dry.
Maybe their offers are just so
They kind of take
appealing.
they take
Yeah.
advantage of people.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't think about what they're actually buying, who they're buying it from. They think, well, I played lots of EA games when I was younger. I love the sports games, so I'll just keep buying them. I don't see a problem.
SimCity.
They don't.
I
Yeah,
love playing Sims game when I was a kid.
Or
Let's
they'll,
go.
or they'll just look at the name of the title. I loved playing Command and Conquer as a kid, but
Yeah.
but good luck finding an employee at EA that still works from there. So yeah, I mean, there's so many devs under their house that have just been really slaughtered. I mean, you've had the closing down of studios like Westwood, Pandemic, Bullfrog. You've had Maxis, most of its staff left, and Will Wright himself just left the company after Spore was completely gutted and didn't represent anything of what he wanted. There was BioWare. The founders have left a few years back. Now it's rather just a shell of a company. It's astonishing how much they get away with these things. It just really seems that they wonder why people hate EA. And I think I remember an article
Or maybe they just want to play dumb.
I don't know. No. An article a while back, IGN had, "Why do people hate EA games?"
IGN.
No, okay.
And the person that they asked, "Why do people hate EA games?" was EA Games.
Uh-oh.
You're gonna ask
Not
a
the
company.
consumers.
Yeah, you're gonna ask a company why people hate you.
Because we love too much.
That's how they pull out things like, well, it's just homophobes, you know? They don't like that we're okay with the gays.
Yeah, they just like to write off a lot of, people that don't like it. People that don't like their games. That's just
Player haters.
Hate that too.
yeah, just people that like
Too much
be
Boondocks.
angry, or people who are just angry at change. Like how Capcom tried to pull off the fact that people just didn't like Dante's new look, and that's why they hated DMC. Despite a lot of players hating it because they didn't like the
The
demo and they
edge.
didn't like the gameplay. Although the press did have a field day with that, just saying that fans got angry that Dante didn't have white hair.
Don't take.
Well, the whole gameplay of DMC is different too. Like
Mm.
they really toned down the combat. Like I think they made it a lot less of a combat game and made it like a lot more of a puzzle game.
Not really, actually. What the gameplay is that the gameplay in Devil May Cry is usually revolved around different styles that
And
you
the
can
dialogue
choose.
even worse.
The dialogue is, it is rather cringeworthy, but then again, the early ones were also kind of cringeworthy.
Oh yeah, you gotta think about the dialogue in the first place. It was nothing but Dante just saying, I don't care.
Actually, no, it was mostly Dante just acting all cool.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because,
Broke into my house and destroyed everything. Whatever.
well, that's kind of the
It's cool
first
like
one.
that.
The third one, he's actually rather, people break into house and ruin his pizza. He gets really mad at that. Don't ruin his pizza, man. But
It's Ryan.
again, the new
Ryan may cry. over broken pizza.
the gameplay in this is not rather based around chaining different combos together. It's pretty much just based around getting a lot of damage. Like in the previous games, you would get like really high rankings for your combos if you chain a lot of different moves together, mix it up a lot, don't use the same move over and over again, and deal a lot of damage at the same time and do it really quickly. In the new game, it's really just based around damage, so you could just chain together a few heavy attacks and get triple S rank just, really easily. And another thing was that they removed lock-ons, so obviously they had to compensate for that by making a lot of area effect attacks. So obviously there's less precision in the game and more just, wailing at things.
Wasn't there a lot of platforming? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, they added a lot of platforming and...
I'll admit the level designs in those in DMC was pretty nice.
It was nice. I mean, previous games also looked pretty nice too. It was a different direction though, so I suppose you could say.
They did really well with complementary colors.
Yeah. A lot of orange and blues everywhere.
Yeah. So thank you,
Number three.
Mark, Shaker, Cory, and thank you for
Yourself.
listening. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks EA
Listeners.
for giving us topics.
Yeah, thank you, EA. You really helped us. You really nurtured this episode.
Thanks for playing Conquer.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.